It was supposed to be a quiet evening. On August 12th, 2022, Martha Caldwell, a renowned food critic, invited 5 close friends to her country home for a private dinner party. By 10 p.m., Martha would be dead, poisoned, and every guest at the table had a reason to want her gone. Martha was known for her sharp tongue and sharper reviews. A single bad critique from her could bankrupt a restaurant. And over the years, she had made enemies, many of them. But that night, she had gathered only her trusted circle. There was Gerald, a retired chef whose restaurant Martha's review had shuttered 5 years ago. Lydia, Martha's personal assistant, overworked and underpaid. Harold, her ex-husband, whose alimony payments had left him financially ruined. Sophia, a rising influencer who was once publicly humiliated by Martha. And finally, Victor, her business partner, who recently discovered that Martha had been embezzling funds behind his back. It was a full table of motives. The evening unfolded normally, or so it seemed. Dinner was prepared by a private chef, someone new, whose background no one had checked too thoroughly. But Martha was meticulous. Nothing was served without her approval. At 9:35 p.m., dessert was brought out, a rich chocolate souffle, Martha's favorite. By 9:40, Martha took her first bite. By 9:43, she was gasping for air, and by 9:50, she was dead. An ambulance was called, but it was too late. Toxicology reports confirmed what everyone suspected. Martha had been poisoned with a rare, untraceable compound known to cause anaphylactic shock. The twist? Martha had no known allergies. Someone had orchestrated the perfect murder. The house was sealed. The guests interrogated. But no fingerprints were found on the poisoned souffle dish except Martha's own. Forensic teams checked the wine, the silverware, even the chef's equipment. Nothing. It was as if the poison had materialized out of thin air. But the real breakthrough came from an unlikely place. Martha's pet parrot. Harold did it. Harold did it. The bird had been trained to mimic voices, and it kept repeating the phrase over and over. It seemed like a damning clue. But when investigators pressed Harold, his alibi was airtight. He had never left the dining table. Security footage confirmed it, and yet the bird wouldn't stop. The investigation seemed to be hitting a wall until detectives revisited the one element no one questioned, the souffle itself. The private chef revealed that the dessert was a last-minute request by Martha. The chef had no idea why. Digging through Martha's emails, detectives found a scheduled delivery receipt. A small parcel that had arrived earlier that afternoon, labeled simply, "For your final touch." Inside was a small vial of an experimental culinary aroma designed to release flavors when heated. But the vial was a fake. It had been swapped with a slow-acting aerosolized poison designed to vaporize when exposed to high temperatures. Martha had unknowingly killed herself by sprinkling the aroma over her own dessert. But who sent the parcel? The sender's information was falsified. The digital forensic teams traced the purchase back to a VPN masked account. Still, there was one slip-up. A single login pinged from an IP address linked to a local cafe, a cafe owned by Sophia, the influencer. Sophia was arrested. But here's the twist. Sophia never confessed. In fact, she was adamant and had evidence that she wasn't even in the country when the parcel was ordered. She was on a live stream during the exact time of purchase, in a different time zone. Turns out, the real killer was Lydia, the assistant. She knew everything about Martha's schedule, access to her devices, and even controlled Sophia's social media pages. Lydia had used Sophia's influencer account as a smokescreen, framing her perfectly. Her motive? Years of exploitation, verbal abuse, and finally, being written out of Martha's will, replaced by a new assistant starting the following week. Lydia had orchestrated the murder as a silent coup, using Sophia's resources to set her up, ensuring Harold would be the prime suspect through the parrot's mimicry. In the end, Lydia was arrested after investigators uncovered Martha's will draft, with angry handwritten notes in Lydia's handwriting, and a batch of emails never sent, unsent drafts filled with rage and resentment. It was a murder where every single person had a motive, but it was Lydia, the invisible one in the background, who had planned it all. The dinner guest who was never at the table, yet served the final dish herself. END.